Welcome to Carl Otto's Dark Anthology. This is the Veiled Tapestry, Book 1, Chapter 7, Inheritance and Intruders. The dead don't always rest easy, and sometimes they leave behind more than grief. The Veiled Tapestry. Chapter 7. The second day dawned over Savannah with a mixture of anticipation and unease for John and Hope. They had spent a restless night, haunted by the mysteries of Uncle James's death and the revelations hidden in the redacted police report. As they prepared to resume their investigation, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were edging closer to something dark. John straightened with quiet determination. "We need to make some progress today, Hope. There's too much we don't know." "I agree," Hope said, her voice gentle but firm. "Let's focus on going through Uncle James's notes and records. Maybe we'll find a lead." As they combed through papers and theories, a sudden knock at the door startled them. It echoed sharply, cutting through the quiet. John met Hope's eyes. A silent question passed between them, before he rose to answer it. Standing outside were John's parents, Richard and Elizabeth Gray, and his younger sister Emily. Concern and affection etched their faces. Their presence was a balm, a warm embrace in the chaos that had consumed John and Hope's lives. They had come to say goodbye before returning to Atlanta, a bittersweet moment amidst the storm. Richard, calm and steady as ever, spoke first. "John, Hope, we know things are rough right now. How are you both holding up?" John, eyes rimmed with fatigue, offered a tired smile. "It's been a whirlwind, Dad. I don't think tough even begins to cover it. But seeing you all here, it means a lot." Elizabeth stepped forward, her eyes searching her son's face for unspoken pain. "We couldn't leave without letting you know we're here for you. Always. Whatever you need, don't hesitate." Emily, brimming with energy, bounced on her toes. "John, Uncle James, he was always kind of mysterious, wasn't he? You've got to tell me everything." John chuckled softly, grateful for the levity. It's a saga. Turns out Uncle James's life was a lot more complicated than any of us guessed. We're still figuring out the basics." A quiet moment passed between them, full of unspoken understanding. Richard placed a steady hand on John's shoulder. Elizabeth embraced him. Emily swore to stay in touch and demanded to be updated no matter how weird things got. Richard's expression softened, tinged with nostalgia. "You know, John, your Uncle James once confided in me about Savannah's darker side. He spoke of shadows beneath the city's charming facade, secrets hidden in the occult. I used to think he was lost in his own fantasy world. Now I'm not so sure. Please be careful." Elizabeth gently announced that they'd brought along Mr. Lawrence, the lawyer handling Uncle James's estate. The older man quietly entered the room, clearing his throat softly to draw their attention. "John," Mr. Lawrence began, "as you're aware, my role is to ensure the smooth transition of your uncle's estate. There are documents we must review together. Your signatures are required to finalize your inheritance." John nodded, a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside him. "I appreciate your help with this, Mr. Lawrence. Let's get those papers sorted." Even as he spoke, he felt the heavy mantle of responsibility settle upon his shoulders. As John meticulously signed each document, Mr. Lawrence reached into his briefcase and retrieved a small, dusty VHS tape. "Ah, and before I forget," the lawyer said softly, handing the tape to John, "your uncle was very specific about this. He insisted you have it, said it was of utmost importance." John turned the tape over in his hands, curiosity mixing with grief. The label was plain, offering no clues, yet its weight felt significant. "Thank you, Mr. Lawrence," John said, voice thick with intrigue and appreciation. "Did he say anything about what's on the tape?" Mr. Lawrence shook his head, a faint smile tugging at his lips, as if recalling a private joke shared only with James. "I'm afraid not. James believed in revealing things at precisely the right moment. Perhaps he thought you'd understand better once you saw it yourself." Hope leaned closer, her eyes bright with curiosity. Sounds like he wanted to be certain you had all the puzzle pieces, John. Maybe this tape has some answers. She tilted her head and added more thoughtfully, if he left this for you specifically, and with that much intention, it means it's something only you can handle. That worries me. John nodded slowly, gripping the tape tighter. Emily's optimism bubbled through again. Or maybe it's a treasure map. Uncle James always had a flair for the dramatic. John gave a soft snort. Yeah, but does anyone even own a VCR anymore? Their parents exchanged knowing smiles. Richard placed a comforting hand on John's shoulder. Your uncle cared deeply for you. He wouldn't leave anything to chance. Whatever's on that tape, it's part of his legacy to you. At the doorway, Mr. Lawrence paused briefly and turned back to John. Your uncle was a remarkable man, John. He saw the world differently, and perhaps in his own way, he's passing that vision on to you. Take care of it. With that, he stepped out, leaving the family enveloped in anticipation and quiet solemnity. They were united by loss, but equally determined to unravel the mysteries James had left behind. John stared at the VHS tape, now a symbol of the journey ahead. Whatever you're trying to tell me, Uncle James, he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. I'm listening. Richard leaned forward, his brow deeply furrowed with concern. John, he began gently, are you absolutely sure you want to press forward with this? It's clear the investigation is weighing heavily on you. Your mother and I were worried for your well-being, for your safety. John met his father's gaze, unwavering. Dad, I appreciate your concern. I truly do. But uncovering the truth about Uncle James isn't something I can walk away from. It's about justice, not just for me, but for him. Elizabeth reached out, her hand gently covering John's. Her voice softened, protective, yet understanding. John, darling, we know how much this means to you, and we'll always support you. But promise me, promise us, you'll be careful. The last thing we want is for you to be in harm's way. Emily's spirited voice broke the seriousness with her irrepressible energy. Yeah, John. Tell us what you need. There must be something we can do to help, right? 2 heads are better than 1, and 4 heads even better. John smiled warmly, deeply moved by their unwavering solidarity. Honestly, just knowing you're all behind me means everything. We're a team. Whatever comes, I know you'll always be there. The room filled with warmth. The Gray family united not just by blood, but by their shared resolve. Richard affirmed their bond firmly. We're with you, every step of the way. Thank you, Mom, Dad, Em, John said softly. Your support means more than I can say. We'll keep you in the loop. We'll figure this out. His mother embraced him gently. Take care, both of you. And remember, family comes first. With lingering hugs, heartfelt goodbyes, and promises to stay connected, the Gray family prepared to leave. John and Hope stood at the door, watching quietly as the family car pulled away, leaving behind the gentle ache of farewell. A fleeting calm settled over John as he turned back toward the shop's interior, still cluttered with Uncle James's belongings. But the fragile peace was quickly shattered as heavy motorcycles rumbled up outside. Unknown to John and Hope, the dogs of war had just arrived, and they had their eyes fixed firmly on the shop and its secrets. Outside, the rumble of engines settled into silence, replaced by the heavy tread of boots approaching the shop. At the head of the small group stood a grizzled biker, exuding resilience and an air of quiet authority. His worn leather jacket and tangled grey hair hinted at a wild spirit tempered by age. His rugged features, framed by a silver-streaked beard and sharp eyes beneath bushy brows, held an intimidating yet magnetic presence. On his back, beneath the Dogs of War emblem, a fierce wolf in soldier's attire surrounded by dog tags, was the nickname Paw Paw, marking him as a respected elder within the club. 2 younger bikers flanked him, imposing figures radiating youth and aggression. The first was a burly, bald man known as Tank, his massive frame dominating the space around him. Beside Tank stood Rigger, wiry with sharp, calculating eyes and a deep scar slicing across his cheek. The trio entered the shop with a deceptive casualness, pretending to browse while carefully observing the room's disarray. Evidence of the break-in and murder still lingered. Tank feigned interest in an old leather-bound book, flipping pages idly while his eyes discreetly followed John and Hope's movements. Rigger leaned against a wooden pillar, seemingly fascinated by a display of antique weapons, though his attention never truly wandered from the shop's occupants. After a few tense minutes, Pawpaw's patience ran thin. With an affected politeness, he called out, "Evening, folks," tipping an imaginary hat in an oddly old-fashioned gesture. "This little establishment caught our eye from the road. Mind if we peruse your wares?" John immediately stepped forward, meeting Pawpaw's gaze with guarded suspicion. "Something specific you're looking for?" Leaning casually against a bookcase filled with arcane texts and relics, Pawpaw's eyes narrowed slightly, evaluating John. "We've heard about your recent loss," he began, voice gravelly and full of implication. "Word has it you've inherited quite the haul here, boy." John's back stiffened. "It's been a difficult transition," he replied cautiously. "Did you know my Uncle James?" Pawpaw nodded slowly, his gaze never wavering. James was a curious combination of crafty and honorable. He knew how to navigate this world, but it seems in the end not well enough. The implication struck a nerve, but John pressed further. "So, you did know him?" "You might say that," Pawpaw offered cryptically, half smiling. "Our paths crossed within some of Savannah's more creative supply channels. Tell me, boy, what's your stance on all these otherworldly tales your uncle loved spinning?" John hesitated, feeling the weight behind Pawpaw's words. "I'm still sorting out what's real and what isn't. It's a lot to process." Pawpaw's chuckle was darkly amused. "Fair enough, but humor an old biker's curiosity. Are you planning to follow your uncle's footsteps? Keep this place running?" The question lingered, pressing heavily upon John. "Looks like I don't have much choice," he answered finally, a mix of resignation and defiance. "The shop's part of the family." Pawpaw straightened, his presence suddenly more commanding. "Think you've got what it takes to survive here? Savannah's no place for weak hearts. Your uncle's fate makes that pretty clear." John's patience wore thin, yet he held firm. "I'm not looking for trouble, but I won't shy away from finding out what happened to my uncle. It's the least I owe him." For a brief moment, respect flickered across Pawpaw's face. "Well, aren't you the brave one?" he murmured, softening just a bit. "But remember, kid, bravery alone won't cut it around here." John's frustration finally boiled over. "I think it's time you and your crew left," he said bluntly, voice cold and unyielding. Pawpaw matched John's stare, the silent tension stretching between them before he finally relented. Pushing away from the bookcase, he nodded slowly. "Yeah, I reckon you're right about that. But heed my warning, boy. The road you're walking is dangerous. Keep your eyes wide open." He turned to leave, pausing at the door to add, "And John, sometimes enemies aren't as obvious as you'd hope. Watch your back." As the rumble of their bikes faded into the humid Savannah air, John and Hope were left alone in the echoing silence of the shop. Their hearts pounded, minds raced, and the storm of secrets swirled ever closer. Thanks for stepping into the shadows with us. If you're hooked on the mystery, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Got a theory? A favorite moment? Or just a hunch about Uncle James? Drop it in the comments. We're reading them all. And if you're feeling generous, sharing this video helps the story reach more curious minds like yours. Until next time, trust no one and read between the lines.